Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm better. I'm better. See, this is why I was not very sure of having two classes back to back. I have a workshop also in the evening. It's a standard flu which is there in Bangalore, but the problem is it's very cuffish type, sinusitis cuffish type. No, we'll go till 4. We'll at least finish Bhakti Sufi. Let's finish that. Don't worry about that. I've had my medicines. Yeah, we'll do it. Don't worry. We're better, but okay. This is important. 2 days you've lost, your time is important. So, yeah. I need a day's rest that I will get tomorrow. So, I should be able to recoup. I'm not having Leoset. I've taken an antibiotic. I've taken Crocin. And there's one medicine which I used to have in Delhi. Good for sinusitis and standard running nose and all. LCZ plus is the name of that medicine, but don't use it without a doctor's advice. Paracetamol does not do anything. It just mitigates your fever. Take antibiotics carefully, obviously. I'm not taking augmentin. I'm taking erythromycin, which is basic. Levocetrizine, yeah, Surbi, it's a LCZ plus is a mixture of 2, 3 together. Take Ayurvedic treatment. उसी के वजह से ज़्यादा हो गया. So initially I tried to mitigate it through kadhas and all didn't work. It's very specific to our generation now. We have become so dependent on allopathic medicines that Ayurveda does not work. So more or less, at least it doesn't work on me. Kadhas will mitigate it. Yes, turmeric with milk, everything I've tried. Don't worry about that. Either it's a cold or it's COVID-19 JN1. Either way, I have to in a viral. Now the whole concept is in a viral fever. You cannot do anything. 3-day cycles are there. So this is my 5th day. So after 3rd day, I was okayish. So I have to now wait till tomorrow to see if I'm totally recovered or not. So yeah. So if it is COVID, then I'm a super spreader now because I'm still standing here. I'm in a studio. I'm in an office. So I'm. तब तो मैं spread कर रहा हूँ. So let's see. I'm better. If I need a break, I'll tell you. But I'm fine right now. We can do Marathas at least. I'm waiting 1 more minute for everybody to come in and then we can start. But thank you all so much for the concern. Sometimes in online there is a disconnect, but at least we are connected that way. So thank you for that. Chetan sir was not well. Basically, we teachers are giving it to each other. Started with Mukesh sir, then came to Chetan sir, then it's come to me. Same studios we use, so that's why. So maybe it's spreading through within us. Same vacuums and all we are using, same equipment. So first Mukesh sir wasn't well. Then I think Chetan sir wasn't well. So who's next? Let's see. Sham sir is left. And ironically, me and Chetan sir have the exact same symptoms also. He also had fever. He also had. Anubhav sir is also there. Hashmeet sir. है अभी 3-4 और हैं. विकेट गिरने के लिए है अभी बहुत सर. Okay. So since the morning, we started with the Mughal decline. For anybody who's joining in right now, this session says art and culture, and we will start art and culture once we've done with the Marathas. As it is, this is only a starting portion. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Thereafter, Peshwas is done in modern India. So we've done the Mughal decline. We finished that module for sure. And we've also done with that the concept of Sikhism. Now we are moving to one of the biggest rivals of the Mughals, and at one point of time they were the alternative to the Indian subcontinent being under them. Basically, if there were the Mughals, then it were the Marathas. It was believed that if the British had not, or even we will say that if Raghunath Rao had not involved the British into the internal politics of the Marathas, Marathas were a viable and proper alternative to the Mughals. And in that sense, we all could have gone into the whole subcontinent, could have gone into Maratha Peshwa rule in that regard. However, it was the internal politics after Madhav Rao which basically led to the murdering of Narayan Rao, Raghunath Rao coming through, and thereafter the Nana Fadnavis faction versus Raghunath Rao. Raghunath Rao then signing the Treaty of Basin, and then going into an understanding with the Treaty of Surat, rather going into an understanding with the British, involving the British into Maratha politics, and the Second Anglo-Maratha War, wherein Balaji Bajirao, uh, sorry, the Bajirao the second, uh, again went into a subsidiary alliance, therefore destroying the Maratha power generally. That is something which you would have done, yes, in modern India. I hope this rings a bell in your mind at least, that how Raghunath Rao politics, how Baji Rao II, the son of Raghunath Rao, how they basically involved the British in all this politics, Holkars, Shindhyas, all these things you generally know, the confederacy concept and all these things. We'll start art and culture. We'll start Bhakti Sufi, so we start art and culture. Don't worry about that. Now, the second aspect here is this is all modern India. What I told you is all modern India. But the question is, what was Maratha power? How did Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj become what he was? And further, how in turn, the idea of the Chauth Sardeshmukhi, and over and above that, how Marathas were under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, only under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the another reincarnation of centralization in India. The last time we had seen centralization, it was actually under Ashoka. However, it was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj who made a certain structure which was so intricate that it created a concept of a power center at the center and at the provincial level and even at the fourth level. That Maratha power, there was so much centralization which we had seen previously only. And the point is, Marathas and specifically Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj loved forts. He was the one who believed that forts, killas, can actually play a very important role in becoming nodes of connections and nodes of how power can be distributed. 250 plus forts were made by the Marathas, and specifically under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So the first main question is, who are the Marathas? And the answer to that question is, Marathas were a community in the Deccan sector who were rising and becoming more and more important under the Deccani Sultanates, specifically the Bijapur and in the Ahmednagar sector. They were actually becoming more and more powerful and were a community which was becoming known for their valor. And Marathas actually got employed into the Deccani armies at what was called as Bargirs. Bargirs, sometimes written. Bargirs is a word which is used for a mercenary soldier. Mercenary soldier is, he fights for money and he will fight for you generally. So the Marathas were never connected to the Deccani Sultanates. They were just fighting on the behalf of them, and they used to get money for that. More than that, the Marathas thereafter started to be very, very well connected and were respected by the Deccani Sultans also quite a lot. That is why they started to get titles from these kings. For example, Nayak, Rao, these very big titles in that regard. And simple point is that they were later also made what are called as kiladars. See, kiladars is a position which exists in the Deccan sector as a person who is the in charge of the kila or the fort. And the Maratha community started to become more and more important, started to become kiladars, though bigger forts still were under the Deccani Sultan Muslim kiladars, but Marathas were showing their mettle and showing their presence in this sector for sure. It is under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj that he was able to, in a way, unleash the real power of the Marathas under his able leadership. The Marathas were spreading but were divided. He brought everybody together into one basic administration and created a network of forts which became a major issue for the British, major issue for the Mughals initially, later for the British. Now, what we've established till this point is early 17th century Maratha community rising under Bijapur, Ahmednagar, and Golconda. This is an identity, Maratha identity. You have accountants also, you have fighters, you have traders. They have different occupations, they have different ideas, but they identify themselves as the Marathas. And most of them served in the Ahmednagar and Bijapur and even Golconda armies, and they were later given Raja, Nayak, Rao titles by these Deccani sultans, and they were also made into kiladars, therefore starting to control certain forts. It was Bijapur ruler Ibrahim Adil Shah who employed lot of Bargis, specifically the Marathas, so as to fight with Ahmednagar. And Marathas were also associated with the accounting department of these Deccani Sultanates, which Bahmani, if you remember, Firoz Shah Bahmani started. So in a way, they are an important community in this sector, but their real power is unleashed by one of the most towering statesmen in India itself, and that is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Now, now the dates which are quoted here are dates of Satish Chandra. It may vary in different books or even in Maratha history, but we will go with what Satish Chandra, because that is used by the UPSC. Born at Shivneri, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was the youngest son of Shahji and Jijabai. He was shifted to one of the forts of Shahji in what is called as Pune Fort, and Pune Fort was under his father's, what we call as Jagir. Basically, he had got a grant from one of the rulers in that, and he was under the guardianship of a person called Dadaji Kondev. Dadaji Kondev is actually the mentor who made Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj who he was. He is a very important personality. He shaped his understanding of politics and generally everything else. In 1640-41, he will be married to Saibai Nilbalkar, and Shahaji will entrust the Pune Jagir to him, the fort also, but only under the guardianship of Dadaji Kondev. After Dadaji Kondev will die in 1647, now Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj will basically become the in charge of the Pune fort. But what he was able to identify was that Marathas are separated with each other. The forts are not connected. At the very tender age of 18, at 18, he was able to take Rajgarh, Kondana, Torna, three forts which not even the Mughals were able to break. He was able to use the Pune Jagi to expand into it. But it is only when he gets Javli, when he is able to take the Javli fort from the Moors or Mores, when he is able to take it, then in 1656 he starts his real career as a statesman. And once he takes Javli, then there is no stopping him, because then he starts to build his empire. So we now understand who is he. Now we understand also how did they rise and who are they. Are we clear about these three things? Yes. Are we clear about these three things? Yes. Now now what is equally important is his administration, from where the questions come. And here there are multiple terms which have to be learned for the examination. Now, the first thing which you need to know is the fact that is called the Ashtapradhan system. The Ashtapradhan, eight pradhan or eight posts which he had. Now, the main position is called Chhatrapati. Chhatrapati means king. Now I'm telling you the Ashtapradhan system. Chhatrapati is the king. Under him, he had one is called Peshwa. Now, the beauty of this whole system is none of them are collectively responsible to each other, and none of them are collectively responsible to anybody. They are individually responsible to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj himself, and therefore, he made sure that nobody was ever transgressing his power and nobody had too much power. This is the beauty of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, wherein the simple point is Peshwa rule or Peshwa or a Majumdar or anybody, they don't interact with each other. This is called a system of check and balance. This is called a system of separation of power, and wherein separation of power and differentiation is something which is important. So when we talk about Chhatrapati, you have Peshwa, which is Prime Minister, and Finance Minister. This position under him will never be too powerful, but we know that Balaji Vishwanath is going to make this position very, very important and is called the second coming of the Maratha state under the Peshwa, and that is why we call this period as Chhatrapati rule and that period as Peshwa rule. Now, Peshwa is the position, Prime Minister, Finance Minister. Thereafter, he had to check the position of Peshwa. He had a Majumdar. He's the accountant general. Now, basically, think of like this, that Peshwa is the finance minister, Majumdar is the CAD. That basically, Majumdar is checking that if Peshwa is actually giving the right data or not. And the Peshwa cannot say anything to the Majumdar. Therefore, they are individually responsible to Shivaji. And therefore, there is no way they can actually undercut each other. And this is the beauty of the central administration which Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj created. Now, further, you have 8 more positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now Majumdar, accountant. Now comes a person called Sarnobat. Sarnobat is Senapati, military head. Thereafter, he has Vakyanavis, Chitnis, Majumdar, Peshwa, Suranavis or Chitnis, Suranavis. Then he has Nyayadhish, Pandit Rao, and the last one who is left is Dabir. And the question, do you need to learn this? Yes, you have to. Actually, Majumdar we can call auditor. Sure, auditor, accountant, whatever you call them. Who I'm telling you what is their positions. 1 second. Okay, sorry. Now, they are all responsible. You can see all arrows are going towards the Chhatrapati, not amongst each other. Now you see, Nyayadhish is very easy. Nyayadhish means the one who takes care of justice. Pandit Rao, religious matters. This can come in the examination for match the following. Now comes Dabir, Vakya-Navis and Chitnis. Now see, Vakya-Navis is a word which is till today used. Vakya-Navis is a word which is today used for a person who is a reporter. Is a person who is a reporter. And here also, Vakya-Navis is intelligence, post and household affairs. So he is the one who takes as intelligence, postings and household, basically like a home minister. However, Vakya-Navis is not given correspondence, because if you look at it, the Chitnis or what we call as Suranavis, he has actually correspondence. Suranavis, Chitnis, correspondence. You see, he is correspondence. Correspondence means any form of information which is flowing within the Maratha Empire is based on this only. Now comes Dabir. Dabir does two things. He takes care of the court and the foreign policy or the foreign relations of the 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 Chhatrapati. Now, if you look at it, this is a very neat way in which power has been divided. Prime Minister has financial power, but someone else is accounting for it, is auditing it. Vakya-Navis is doing intelligence, taking care of home affairs, but no correspondence is with the Chitnis or Suranavis. Nyadhish is taking care of justice, but not that religious person has not been given the access of justice. So Pandit Rao is taking care of religious matters, and Dabir is taking care of the court. In a way, Vakya-Navis cannot take care of the court, and foreign relations is with it. This is a very interesting division of power in which everybody is also looking at everyone else, but telling Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj only. Not, they cannot connive with one another. That is the basic point. This is called very interesting way of centralization. This is centralization at its pure. Correspondence means any form of Minister of Information Broadcasting. Internal movement of information is called correspondence. So all of them are individually responsible to the king. Yes, Prem. They are all individually responsible to the king. They are not responsible. They're not responsible to each other or to someone else. They're individually responsible. So if there's an issue in accountancy, the Peshwa can't say to him that don't tell Chhatrapati. He is individually responsible. Are we clear about central administration and Ashtapradhan? In the examination, if they ask you this, they will be able to match the following. Yes, very good. So this is also done. Now the beauty of his administration is actually how he divided his provincial administration. He had what is called Mauza. Then he used a word which we already know, which is Taraf and Prant. Taraf, Prant. Where have we seen the word Taraf previously? Where have we seen the word? Yes, very good. Bahmani kingdom. A Taraf. Mahmud Gawan is the one who developed this concept. Now, Mauza, Taraf, Prant. The person who takes care of Taraf, Mauza and Prant are Mauza lowest unit, then Taraf headed by Havaldar and province headed by Subedar. But this is very interesting. Here there is nobody. Here there is Havaldar. Here there is Subedar. A word again which is a Mughal word, Suba, Subedar. But ironically, too much power is with the Subedar. So what he does is, he appoints a Sar Subedar to check if the Subedars were working in the right way or not. So there are three levels of unit. This is province, district, number of villages, And what he's done is he's given this to the Havaldar Subedar, but then Subedars become too powerful. So in a way, the Chhatrapati controls Sar Subedar. Sar Subedars control the Subedars. The Subedars then control Havaldars, and therefore everybody has somebody over them. Everybody has somebody over them. And therefore you can see he again did not trust any one officer. He did not trust one officer. He is making sure that there is a whole chain of command where nobody can capture too much power. Where nobody can capture too much power. But if we go to one step lower than this, and ironically, all of them were non-permanent, non-hereditary, and frequent transfers used to happen. But what is the real power of Maratha power is actually at the level of the fort and fort administration in that regard. So I started with central, then I went to the level of what we call as the province level. Now I'm going into fort level. Close to 250 fort. One of the forts was made on water also. Close to 250 forts were created, and a long chain of command was created. Now, the beauty of the fort administration is even more interesting. If this is the fort, and this is the entry point, this is the entry point. Now see, he could have given one person power of the fort, but what is the problem with that? What is the what do you say? What is the vulnerability there? If you give one person in charge of the fort, he has too much power. He can break the empire. He can repel. Very good, perfect. Think like an administrator now. So what he did was he divided the power into three offices, and which is again interesting. The first officer, this is Chaud sir, give me 1 second. The first officer is Havaldar, second officer is Sabnis, and the third officer is the Sarnobat. So you have Havaldar, Sabnis, Sarnobat, and he also created one more. Karkhanis. Now see, Havaldar only has the keys to the fort. So entry and exit, opening in the morning, closing in the night. He is the only one who has the keys. Sarnobat, you see, I'll read it out to you also. Havaldar has the keys to the fort. Sarnobat is the in charge of garrison, which is garrison means the military establishment. So he has military establishment and power. And what is interesting is Karkhanis has keys to the supplies of the fort. Meaning if you want grains, if you want anything, you have to contact the Karkhanis. And the most interesting is Sabnis has correspondence, duty chart, and revenue. This is still medieval Charan. Now, if you look at it, correspondence means information flow. Now, don't you think that this is a very interesting way of division of power? Can any one officer take control of the fort? Can any one officer take control of the fort? And the answer to that question is no. The answer to that question is no. And the simple point is that this is how they can collectively take it. Can you and me agree on the same thing? And if you are corrupt, am I also corrupt? Karkhan is karkhana, where you keep all the supplies. If can 5 people together be conniving against Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and nobody would get to know? See, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was so in the sense, in a way, so smart. You know how the fort was opened? Want to know how the fort is opened in the morning and closed in the night? He basically had 3 keys of a fort. One was kept with the Havaldar, who's a Maratha. One he used to give to a Brahmin. And one he used to give to the Vaishya, which is a merchant. Only when the 3 keys used to go together, the fort used to open. Now, you really think a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, and a Vaishya at this point of time would connive with each other? This is the power of understanding how to undercut power of people. So, fort administration is at a different level altogether. They don't trust each other. How can they trust to basically connive against Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj? This is how his administration was, from the level of what we call as the Ashtapradhan, to the concept of Subedari, to the concept of fort administration. If we are clear about this, I really want to discuss Chaur Sardeshmukhi, then we break and then we start our art and culture chapter. Very interesting discussion, Chaur and Sardeshmukhi also. Very beautiful system. Are we clear? Are we clear? Okay. Now, taxation. Ironically, the taxation system of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was also a way to undercut the Mughals. You see, I'll first explain it to you. Let's take a part of Deccan India. This is a part of Deccan India. It's basically Mughal territory. And in this, there's a road which goes like this. There are traders which are here, caravans. And what the Marathas do is that they used to have a fort here. They used to have a fort here. And this much area is actually Maratha area. This is a Maratha fort. And there's a cultivator here. Now, basically, a cultivator here does not pay Chauth or Sardeshmukhi. he just pays 1/3 or 1/6 standard tax. So as to say that Chauth and Sir Deshmukhi are never applied in Maratha original territory. This will make more sense the more I will explain to you. Now you see there's a cultivator here A, there's a cultivator here B. Now what the Marathas did was that who do A and B give tax to? Who do A and B give tax to? If this is Mughal territory, they would give it to the Mughals via the Amil. Now what the Marathas do is they go to these cultivators and also this trader, and they say that we are here for two things. Give us 1/4 of produce for farmer and 1/4 of value of goods for traders. This is called chauth. Chauth means 1/4. If you give us chauth, we will do two things. First, we will not attack you. We will not attack you. Second, we will protect you against the Mughal tax collector and Mughals. And third, it is an insurance policy that we will not let the Mughals do anything to you. So basically, chauth is a tax you pay for not for to the Marathas to not plunder you. But the master stroke here is that by giving chauth at the micro level, Mughal sovereignty is denied. So if I'm a trader who is just, if I have to cross this road every time, and if I'm a farmer who is very close to a Maratha fort, who should I bank on more, Mughals or the Marathas? The Marathas, because the Mughals are sitting in Agra or in Delhi. And rather, at the grassroots level, the Marathas are saying, we will keep the Amil away. We will not let the Amil do anything to you. You give us 1/4 and you stay clear of any issues. So, what chauth is applied in non-Maratha territories for Maratha assurance against no plunder. They will not do anything to you and they will rather protect you also. Does the chauth make sense? Because then we talk about Sir Deshmukhi. Because Sir Deshmukhi does not apply here. Now, same area, bit by bit, the authority of the, see, this much was original territory. Will chauth as Sir Deshmukhi apply here? Chauth or Sir Deshmukhi not applied here. On the other hand, On the other hand, now what has happened is the Marathas have expanded. The Marathas have expanded. The road still goes to the trader. Still only chauth applies. Only chauth applies. But this farmer A and this farmer B, they used to pay chauth. Yes or no? They used to pay chauth. Original territory. Chauth, they've already paid. Now that you come under the Marathas, now that you come under them, they have to pay one more tax, which is over and above chauth. Chauth is 1/4. This is 10% more. Basically, Sir Deshmukhi is a surcharge on chauth for expansion or becoming part of Marathas. A major mistake which students do is that they do this. Chauth is 1/4, means 25%. Sir Deshmukhi is 10% on 25%, so they calculate 27.5%. No, it is 25% plus 10%. Chauth plus Sir Deshmukhi. Now let me explain it in a more crude sense. Chauth is only applied when you are outside Maratha territory and the Marathas want to undercut Mughal power. They take 1/4 from you, and they protect you. Within original Maratha territory, which is fort and its areas, nothing like this is applied. Do we understand Chauth? Do we understand Chauth? Yes. Now, when the Marathas have been successfully been able to expand into this territory, they have expanded their empire. The fort now does not control 100 acres, which was original, now controls 1 lakh acres. The areas which are added, the Marathas say that they had a hereditary right on them previously, but they did not take it. So Chauth remains. Chauth will not go anywhere. They say because now you're part of the Maratha Empire, pay Sir Deshmukhi over it. So you pay 10% more. Chauth only, Sir Deshmukhi only applies on cultivators. It is 25%, 1/4 is 25%, plus 10%, so 35%. Get my point? Get my point? I'll read it out to you and then we can end this topic. Absolutely perfect. So, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj supplemented his income by levying tax on Mughal territories. Chauth and Sir Deshmukhi were other sources of taxes. Chauth was an amount to 1/4 of produce which was paid to the Marathas as a safeguard against Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's forces plundering or raiding non-Maratha territories. Sir Deshmukhi was an additional levy of 10% on the lands which Marathas claimed to be having hereditary rights over. Chauth and Sir Deshmukhi were tax collected not in Maratha kingdom but in the neighboring territories of the Mughal and Deccani Sultanates. Through this, what Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj did, and we will take a break after this, is that he created a certain structure in which his center was controlled through Ashtapradhan, his province was controlled through his provincial administrations as Subedars, and his periphery was controlled through forts. Within the forts, he has a whole set of different officers, and they kept on expanding by basically destroying the Mughal power bit by bit by collecting chauth. At one point of time, the Portuguese also used to pay chauth because the Portuguese traders were going to get plundered if chauth is not paid. So it is believed that at one point of time, even the Mughals paid chauth. So to be very clear, to be very, very clear, with this we finish political history of Muhammad Shah Rangila will. We finish political history of medieval India. I have already given you the timeline. What I want to do now is I want to break here, and then we start our first module of art and culture, last module of medieval India. So it is considered module number 7 of medieval India, Bhaktism and Sufism. This now becomes mains level oriented, and the problem of Bhakti Sufi is that the books are not very comprehensive. So what I've done for Bhakti Sufi is, you can see here, is that I have made it very descriptive, because now you need to write mains answers. I've made it very, very descriptive so that you can just use the PPT, and that is more than enough. For Bhakti Sufi, your discussion with regards to PPT is more than enough to answer any question. Clear? What you want to hear from me quite a lot, I am now trying to say it to you. For module number 7 is Bhakti Sufi, and the PPT is enough. It has been made, designed very, very categorically like this, so that it is as extensive as possible, so that you don't have to run to 5 different sources. I made it out of 6 different sources altogether. Are we clear? Are we clear? Perfect. Great. So we come back by 2:05, 2:05, 2:10. Take a proper cool down period, because now this discussion is heavy, and I want you to be very, very attentive about it. You'll be able to do that? Perfect. We restart around 2:10. See you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you, Ananya. But I don't want to waste more of your time. See, taking an extra class next Saturday is easiest for me. But if I brought you today here, you've taken out your time. Why not finish it? ठीक है, medicines can keep me alive for 2-3 hours. Uh, now, there are two things which we need to see. Sir, we are taking class from. I understand that. Okay, chalo. Now we stop when Sufism and Bhaktism is over. I have joined just now. Art and culture is starting now. Art and culture is starting now. See, Surbi, that is a basic point. Your time is very precious. For a UPSC aspirant, every minute, every 10 minutes, even if I'm taking 5-10 minutes extra to come back, at least you are going to get everything out. Now, there are two basic components to this module. One is Sufism, the other one is Bhaktism. Now, Sufism is the first one we'll cover, and thereafter we'll move to Bhakti. Now, first things first, tell me, is Sufism within Islam or outside Islam? First question. Outside, within, outside, within, outside, within, mixed bag. Now, to be very, very clear, the Bhakti movement of Islam is called Sufism. Or in a sense that Sufis are not outside Islam. They don't reject the Quran. That is not what they do. They rather are like an alternative path. And let me tell you then the concept itself. See, within Islam, there's an institution, what we call as institutionalized religion. Within this institutionalized religion, this is the mosque. The mosque. Now, if I'm an individual, I'm a Muslim, my access to Allah or God is via this institution. I have ulemas, I have Maulvis, I have Qazis, etc., who act as religious intermediaries. So I am connected to God via this institution. And these ulemas therefore produce a social order. They have rituals and they have their own rules and regulations. Now, in this sense, is God personal to me? Is God personal to me? No, because my access to God is mitigated through a person. Without this institution, I cannot seek God. And this is called institutionalized religion. This is true for Hinduism also. We'll discuss it when we discuss Bhakti. But the simple point is, institutionalized religion, there's always a religious intermediary who mitigates your access. Now, Sufism did not rise in India. It came to India. It rose in the Central Asian sector. After certain saints or Sufi saints, they got frustrated by this model. They got frustrated by this model. And when they got frustrated by this model, they came up with an alternative path to God or Allah. And that alternative path to God is called Sufism. It is not a religion, it is within Islam. And what is the meaning of Sufi? Sufi is Sufi. Sufi. There's no meaning of Sufi. Now, there are 3 chapters, one in 7th, 12th, and in Satish Chandra, which you can read for this. But what Sufism basically is, repeating this point, Akansha, listen to me. There is institutionalized religion. Institutionalized religion is based on the access of a person to God via the institution, and that institution has a certain rule regulation. Sufi saints or Sufis became very, very frustrated by this model, and therefore they developed their alternative path. Sufism, in that regard, therefore, is an product or is a product of frustration and anger with the mediation of institutions in access to God. God was not personal or accessible without intermediaries. Now, very simply, Sufis therefore are based on personal devotion, love for God, and individualization of religion. Meaning, they want to connect with God as an individual. And when they want to connect as an individual, the answer is how. And the answer to this question is their tariqa. It's called their tariqa. Tariqa means their method. That method could be singing, dancing, meditation, could be helping poor, etc. Wherein singing, dancing, meditation, helping the poor, the tariqa matters. Every Sufi has a different tariqa. They seek God not through institutions, but through their methods. Meaning, Kavali, you are engaging with God through singing. Are you following what I'm saying? like they are part of institution or they are individual saints. Tanmay, they are individual saints. Basically, Sufi saints are individuals who say that I have a different way. See, what is the tariqa of institutionalized religion? Go to a mosque, meet the imam, he tells you how to live your life, you do namaz, you have a certain way of doing it, ritualistic. Sufi says no, I want to seek God not by going to the mosque, but by staying at home and dancing in the love of God. I dance. Whenever I feel God through me, I dance. We also do it. Bhajan Kirtan. Bhajan Kirtan is what? You sing in the name of God. When you do sing in the name of God, in a way, this is where Bhakti Sufi intersect. Wherein we also meditate, we also sing, we also dance, but in Islam, it is bigger because it was taboo. It was not acceptable to sing and dance. But the Sufis found a alternative path to seeking God. They said, I don't need the masjid. I need my own devotion. And when I remember God, I sing in His name. Is this making sense? What does this tariqa mean? Everybody has their own way. Are we clear? Because then I expand this concept more. Are we clear? Yes. Now, how does Sufism actually work? There are 4 words: Peer, Murid, Khanka, Dargah, and Silsila. Mediator's role got less importance or completely disappeared. A Sufi doesn't care what the Imam or the ulama is saying. Now, dance like Hrithik Roshan in Jodha Akbar. Yeah, sure. Kufaya Ku gone. Kufaya Ku or Khwaja Mere Khwaja. हाँ एकदम. Yes, exactly like that. Okay. Now, see, the saint is called Peer. He's a teacher. Alternative path to seek God. His own tariqa. Peer is teacher. Murid is student. A very good example of Peer Murid would be you and me. The syllabus is the same. But I am your Peer, you are my Murid. My tariqa of teaching history is different from a different Sufi who has a different tariqa to teach history. So every teacher has a different way of teaching, and that is basically Peer Murid tradition. Sufism actually works under Peer and Murid tradition only. There's a Peer, there's a Murid, there's a Peer, there's a Murid, Peer Murid tradition, wherein you have one teacher and multiple disciples. This is how a Sufi teaches, that this is my alternative path. Those who have their own way of devotion to God other than going to masjid, adopt Sufism, not adopt, are called Sufis. Maulana is a intermediary. He's a religious intermediary. He's related to the mosque. Teacher, Peer Murid, as soon as you hear this word, means Sufism. I am the Peer, you're the Murid. Now, where the peer lives and teaches when he's alive is called khanka. So basically, you are in my khanka right now. This is my khanka. I'm teaching you something and I'm alive. So I am the peer, you are the murid. This is my khanka. Now, when the peer dies and where he is buried is called dargah. So just by asking who that person is, you can know if the peer is alive or not. I will call it Nizamuddin Aulia ki Khanka or Nizamuddin Aulia ki Dargah today. I will say Dargah. So, for example, Haji Ali Dargah, Moinuddin Chishti ki Dargah, Baba Farid ki Dargah. But there are also certain Sufis which exist today. So I will call, and when Muhammad bin Tughlaq used to go to meet Nizamuddin Aulia, then we call it what? He's going to Nizamuddin Aulia's Dargah or Khanka? He's going to Khanka. So just by knowing Khanka and Dargah, you get to know. Mostly, Khanka and Dargah are at the same place, meaning he used to teach there and then he died. Mostly Khanka and Dargah is the same, but in certain cases, Khanka was different and Dargah is also different. Does not really matter. So you would have seen, for example, Masjid and Dargah are same. No, Masjid is institutionalized, Shariat-based Islam masjid, mosque. That is what the Sufi does not want to go to, or that is what the Sufi is an alternative to. So the alternative to the masjid is the Khanka. But the difference is masjid always remains a masjid, but Khanka becomes a dargah later. It is not difficult. I'll tell you very simply. If I give you the problem is you're not understanding it in Islamic terms. See, you have a temple. You have a temple. Temple is masjid. Pandit is ulema, Maulvi, and Maulana. These two are institutions, temple and masjid. And Maulana and this and that and the Pandit are same, yes or no? Yes or no? Am I giving you exact alternatives to in the same religion, which is Hinduism, temple, Islam, mosque, Pandit, Maulana? Are we clear? Yes. Now, Kabir or Mirabai, did they have their own temples? No, they had their own following in their own space. So what Kabir and Mirabai are exactly what Nizamuddin Aulia or Muinuddin Chishti is. Basically, they are people who did not want to go to the Pandit. They did not want to go to the Maulvi and wanted to see God through themselves. It's not hard. You're making it hard. Problem is you are not able to find equivalence. Dargah and Khanka can be different. That is not a given. Dargah and Khanka can be different, can be the same place. There's no set rule about it. There's no set rule about it. Are we clear about Peer, Murid, Khanka, Dargah? Yes? Okay. 1 second. Okay. Sir, now Dargah is more number than Khanka. Again, that is immaterial, but you would have seen, for example, Mazar. Have you heard the word Mazhar? That वो उनकी मजार है. Have you heard this word Mazar? Mazar is an alternative word used for Dargah. So Dargah, Mazar are used alternatively. So they used to die at Khanka. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. अरे यार देखो, I'm being very clear. I generally have a lot of patience, but understand this point. It's not rocket science. And you all have not come from America yesterday, that it's not making sense to you. You have seen Indian society, you are part of Indian society, and as a Hindu, we understand Islam, I hope, and as a Muslim, we also understand Hinduism. This much our parents have taught us, and that is the beauty of India. So don't act like you are an American who does not even understand Hinduism or Islam. So very simply, there is an institution called a mosque. People are frustrated how the ulama is manipulating people. That person says, I will find an alternative way to God, and that is, I will seek God myself. When I seek God myself, it is how I create a certain tariqa. My tariqa is I sing in the name of God. That is my devotion to Him, and that is what is going to give me salvation. A student is called murid, a teacher is called a peer. The peer where he lives is called khanka. If he is later buried in the same place, the khanka becomes the dargah. If I am buried somewhere else, the khanka and dargah could be different, but the khanka word will not exist because the peer is already dead. So it becomes his dargah. Can I now move to silsila, because that is an equally important word? Okay. Now, now, there is A peer, B, C, D, E are his four murids. I am known, this A is known to, yeah, well, let's keep it my name only. And I'll take your names, it will make more sense. So I am the peer. I have Ananya, Gulam, Vishal, Tina, four murids. Four murids. My way of seeking God, I will add it, don't worry. My way of seeking God is that I sing in the name of God. Now, when I was alive, I taught all four of you, but I believed that Vishal can take my place when I die. So I nominate Vishal as the next peer. So now Vishal sings. Now these Ananya, Gulam, Tina have an option to become the murid of Vishal or practice separately, but they will not be considered my silsilas or my series main peer. Thereafter, Vishal develops or has four students: Ravi, Divya, Palak, and Devansh. Now, Vishal sings. He had these four students, and he believes that Devansh is a very good student. He can take the silsila forward or series forward. So he says Abhishek Peer, Vishal, and Devansh is going to be the next peer. Then the same Ravi, Divya, Palak can either follow Devansh or start their own, but that is something totally on them. Now Devansh has four followers or four murids, very close murids. One is Pooja, the other one is Yashwant, Thereafter, you have Lakshya and you have Tanmay. Now, basically what happens is, first Devansh nominates Yashwant. But Yashwant says that this singing and all does not work. I like to dance. He says, I like to dance. So what Devansh does is, he says, I chose Yashwant, but he wants to dance. So he cannot be part of my tarika. So he nominated Tanmay. Tanmay will then have 3 students and Yashwant will then have 3 students. Here, Tanmay, for example, has Joshiv, Sarita, Akanksha. And he has Utkarsh, Girish, and Shibam. Now you see, Namrata, you also want to be a part of it? Sure, Namrata. Now you see, Namrata. Now, Tanmay chooses Namrata as the next peer and they sing. And Yashwant chooses Girish as the next peer and they dance. Now, what this is called Sufi silsilas. Basically, Abhishek, Vishal, Devansh, Tanmay, and Amrita will be called Abhishek silsila. Because you all were true to my tarika. You all are Sufis under my tarika. So we are called Abhishek silsila. However, an offshoot came out of our silsila and his name is Yashwant silsila. सिलसिला का मतलब क्या होता है? सीरीज. सिलसिला इज एक के बाद एक पीर और मुरीद आ रहे हैं. पीर मुरीद पीर मुरीद पीर मुरीद पीर मुरीद, a cascade. So Sufis work like this. So we have Chishti silsila. Chishti silsila, there are 5 very major important Sufis. Muhyiddin Chishti, after which it is named. Then you have Bakhtiyar Kaki, Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. You have Fariduddin Ganje Shakkar. You have Nizamuddin Auliya, and then you have Nasruddin Chirage Dilli. These 5 are actually 5 different saints. But what are they called? Chishti Sufi. So, Abhishek, Vishal, Devansh, Tanmay, Namrata are one silsila. Yashwant, Girish are one silsila. Do you understand this word now? Silsila. And how does Sufism actually work? If you change the tariqa, you are an offshoot. Make sense? Perfect. Now, what I've done with you is I've created the basic context. Which is, we understand why Sufis came. We understand the basic terminologies. And we understand silsilas. 3 things I've taught you. Anybody has any issue here? Because then I talk about the silsilas in India. Yes, in a way, Tanmay, Gharana would be the equivalent to silsila in music. Perfectly right. Okay. Now, in India, there were 4 major silsilas. They are called Chistiya or Chisti, Qadri, Shohrawardi, Naqshbandi. Chisti and Shohrawardi are contemporaries to each other, and Qadri and Naqshbandi are contemporaries to each other. Basically, Chisti, Shohrawardi are Delhi Sultanate period, and Qadri and Naqshbandi are Mughal period. Now, Sufis are generally known for their method, but they are also divided into two. One is called Bashara, one is called Beshara. In India, no Beshara is there. Beshara do not accept Sharia, which is the holy law of Islam. They don't accept. We are the Kalandars. While on the other hand, Bashara Sufis accept Islam, but they also accept Shariat, which is namaz, roza, everything. Chishti, Shoravardi, Firdausi, Qadri, Nashbandi, all are Bashara. In India, all are Bashara. Sufis don't like institutional Islam. They develop their own tariqa. They have a teacher-student tradition, which is called Silsila, Pir Murid Khan Ka Dargah, and Bashara Beshara. Bashara the ones who accept Sharia. Beshara the ones who do not accept Sharia. Now comes the discussion related to Chistis. Now, Chisti Sufis are the most popular in India and even in the world. The whole movie Bajrangi Bhaijaan was based on the premise that a woman from Pakistan came to Nizamuddin Aulia's dargah and that child is left behind. Nizamuddin Aulia ki dargah is considered to be one of the most holiest sites in across Central Asia. And what is interesting about Sufis is not only Muslims go to their dargah, but even Hindus and other religions can do. Some of you may have gone to Ajmer, some of you may gone to Delhi, and some of you may have gone to these dargahs also. And it is believed that in a way Sufis transcend religion, because Sufis never stopped anybody from joining if they were not Islamic, and they were not agents of conversion. They were not agents of conversion. They did not ask you to convert. You can you can basically go to Ajmer Sharif and you can pray to Nizamuddin Aulia as a saint, or Muinuddin Chishti as a saint. Now the most celebrated is Muinuddin Chishti, but Muinuddin Chishti is actually not popular when he was alive. Muinuddin Chishti was made very popular by three rulers. One is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq went to Muinuddin Chishti's dargah. Second is a person called Mahmud Khilji, who was the ruler of this Malwa sector. And third, Akbar. Akbar, while traveling to Gujarat, got to know about Muinuddin Chishti quite a lot. And he then every year used to go to Muinuddin Chishti. And the context of that song in the Jodha Akbar movie, wherein he used to go to Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti's dargah, and most of the endowments which that dargah has today is because of Akbar only. So when Muinuddin Chishti was alive, it is believed that he came when Gori was coming into India. He entered into the Indian subcontinent. He was not very popular when he was alive in Ajmer. His Khanka was not very popular. His dargah was very popular. And because of his students, he became very, very popular. What is the tariqa? What is the tariqa of Muinuddin Chishti? There are two very interesting peculiarities about Muinuddin Chishti. First, Muinuddin Chishti argued that when you do service to the distressed, when you feed hunger, when you feed the hungry, you are doing service to God. So in a way, what Ramakrishna Paramhans said later, which is service to people is service to God. So his concept was redress the poor of misery, and that is my tariqa. But a very important caveat which he used to apply was that I will never take any service with this state. Chistis are known to be very popular because of this, because they never took any employment with the state. They can get a grant from the king, they can get some what we call as dan, but they would never go and say that I want to be part of the empire. I want to be part of the empire. I want to be part of the Delhi Sultanate. That is why people were able to see the Chistis different from the state itself. And that is why Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti never took any endowments or any form of patronage from the kings. And it is Muhammad bin Tughlaq who first basically how Chishti survive from time period 12 to 1400 till Akbar. Are Dargah to still today survives. They were, when Akbar went to Muhyiddin Chishti, he did not go to Muhyiddin Chishti's Khanka, Dargah, Lakshya, made you a part of a silsila. You are you are alive, so your peer will not be alive. It is Khanka or Dargah. He went to Dargah of Muhyiddin Chishti. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the first one who went to the Dargah. Then it was Ghyasuddin Khalji, also called as Mahmud Khalji of Malwa. This comes in the examination. Which of the following are known to have gone to the Chishti of, or rather the Dargah of this person? This period, it was Akbar who made it actually very, very popular. Akbar at point of time, 2 to 3 times, total 14 times he went to Ajmer. Every time he used to go with a lot of gifts. And if you've been to Ajmer Sharif, you would have seen that there's a very big dome on the Dargah. Have you seen it? Have you seen the dome on the Dargah? That dome was actually construction was started by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, completed by Ghyasuddin Khilji. That Gumbaj which is there, Gumbad, is actually made by them only. But Muhyiddin Chishti was not popular when he was alive. Later he became alive. Later he became very popular. His most interesting disciple, who was operating parallelly when he was alive, is a person called Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. Please don't mix him up with Bakhtiyar Khilji. He is Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, a different person. Some people believe that Kutubuddin Aibak named the Kutub Minan after him. Again, both are Kutubuddin, so it is not clear. But the simple point is, he operated from Delhi. Whilst Muhyiddin Chishti operated from Ajmer, he operated from Delhi. And the Shohrawardis were also in Delhi, a different silsila. And the Shohrawardis are known to get, as Sufis, are known to get employment in the state. Because Shohrawardis believe that if you are a beggar, how will you help the poor? So they used to say that we will first take employment in the state and then we will help the poor. But basically, Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki actually was hated by the Shohrawardis. Iltutmish was asked by Shohrawardis to remove Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki, but Kaki did not go anywhere. Then comes Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki's most known and very popular Baba Farid. His whole name, Fariduddin Ganj Shakkar, very popular in Hansi, Haryana and Punjab sector. He is the one who made Sufism very popular in Punjab, Haryana. Later, it is his disciple Nizamuddin Auliya, who's considered the greatest of all Sufis generally. Greatest of all Sufis. Because he is known to have fought no one else but Ghyasuddin Tughlaq and a person called Mubarak Khalji, and both wanted him gone. But Dilli Durast, the curse of Nizamuddin Auliya was so strong that Nizamuddin Auliya till today is considered very powerful. The last person who is considered important and after which the whole part of a city is named is Nasruddin Chirag Dehlavi. The whole Chirag Delhi area of Delhi is actually named after him. And he played a very important role as a Sufi saint. But then Muhammad bin Tughlaq, that fool, is going to shift everything to Daulatabad. The Chishti Sufis will also go to Daulatabad. And Chishti Sufis will change a rule which they used to follow till they were in Delhi. And they will start to get employment in the state, because in Gulbarga and all, they would never able to survive. And the last major known Chishti is Muhammad Banda Nawaz. You would have heard another name called Salim Chishti, but Salim Chishti was not very important. Has his tomb in the Fatehpur Sikri, because Chistis were not important during the Mughal period. The arch rivals of the Chistis are the Shohravardis. But the Chisti idea is very simple, straightforward. Simplicity of life, humility, love, devotion, helping poor, and never accepting anything from sultans. Shohravardis are the exact opposite of Chistis. In the sense that in this silsila, Shohravardi, who was started by Shahabuddin Shohravardi in Baghdad, but brought to India by a person called Bahuddin Zakaria. You have to remember his name. Zakaria established the Shohravardis in Punjab and Sindh. You have to remember his name because it can be asked as match the following. The simple point is they were the exact opposite of the Chistis because they believe that owning property, getting employment is important. They said, if we can't serve the poor properly, then what's the point of being a Sufi? So they always used to talk about religious belief, ilm, which is scholarship, but they always used to take employment in the state. And you tell me if there's a Sufi who is related to the state and if there's a Sufi who is not related to the state, people will connect with whom more? People will connect with the person who is not connected to the state, because that way people can understand that he's not part of the state. That is why Chistis was very, very popular. Now come the two orders which were parallelly there, under the Mughal period. One is called Nashkbandi, not Nasbandi, Nashkbandi, and the other one is called Qadri. Now this tells you the power of a Sufi and a teacher. Nashbandi are actually a regressive Sufi saint culture because they believe they are basically revivalists. They believe that all innovations, all biddat, everything is problematic. We have to go to pure Islam, and un-Islamic practices should be gone. No sama, no religion, nothing, no singing, nothing. And the person who was very important in India is a person called Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. Guess who was the chief disciple of Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi? Guess. Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb, this fool, was actually taught by Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. And for the same reason, Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi, you see, was the one who said remove songs. So Aurangzeb removed songs. Remove dance. He removed dance. The way in which Aurangzeb acted was because he was influenced by the Naqshbandi silsila. And that is why the whole concept, he was not the murid, but he was a follower. He obviously is not a murid. He talked about un-Islamic practices. And now you see Qadri. Qadariya order, the most known out of them is Myanmar. Jahanara and Darashiko were the disciples of Myanmar. And you listen to what Qadris say. The concept of unity of existence, unity of being, God and creation are one and similar. They denounced the or the orthodox element. That is why Darashiko was the exact opposite of Aurangzeb. Darashiko wanted to know about the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita. He translated it. Aurangzeb was a fool, actually taught by Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. This tells you the power of a teacher. Aurangzeb was taught by a bigot, a person who talked about regression, so he regressed. Darashiko was taught by Myanmar, a Qadri Silsila or Sufi, who talked about everybody being the same. They used to very interestingly argue that the real kafir is the one who believes that everybody is different. The real kafir is the one who thinks that everybody is different. The kafir is not the one who is of different religion. The real infidel is who believes that there is multiple people. The real kafir is the one who believes that there are different people. They used to say everybody is the same. Every God is the same. We all are children of God. Make sense? Qadri. So in a way, you can see Sufis can be forward looking, backward looking also. So before we close this section, there were two offshoots. One is called Firdausiya, the other one called Satariya. Firdausiya is the offshoot of Shoravardi. Satariya is the offshoot of the Qadri. And they were operating later in the Bihar Bengal sector and Uttar Pradesh. Now what I want to do is I want to just make this basic flow chart. Sufis in India, there are four. One is Chishti. The other one is Shohrawardi, out of which comes Firdausiya. Then you have Naqshbandi, and then you have Qadri. Out of Qadri, Satriya. These two are Delhi Sultanate. These two are Mughal India. Further, these three are considered progressive. This is the regressive one. Take employment in state. Do not take. This is basically what you need to know. Can you go through the PPT later, revise, and our basic story is clear? Yes? Yes? Okay, perfect. Now, see, what I'll do is I'll teach you Bhakti, basic concept. I'll give you a Venn diagram. This is enough for Bhakti Sufism. I'll give you a Venn diagram and we'll break early. Because within 1 hour, Bhaktism cannot be done. Rather, what we'll do is we'll see the intersections, basic concept to remember. Then I'll see you on Monday. Make sense? Yeah, can we call Sufism Bhaktism in Vidya? Yes. Bhaktism is the Sufism of Hinduism. Sufism is the Bhaktism of Islam. Okay. Now you see. Now, what is then Bhakti? Bhakti movement. Now, please be very clear about one thing first, that Bhakti movement happened in two different contexts. The first Bhakti movement was not in North India, it was in South India. And that is called South Indian Bhakti. South Indian Bhakti is 7th century CE, Allavar and Nayanar tradition. On the other hand, we have North Indian Bhakti, for which you know a lot, which is Kabir, Ramanand and all. That is 13th to 15th century CE. And the connecting are called the Marathi saints, such as Namdev, Tukaram. The problem was there's a difference. Sufism is only Muslim, obviously. But is it in Islam? South Indian Bhakti, Allavar Nayanar tradition, is writing in Kannada, Telugu, Tamil. North Indian Bhakti is in the Hindi language, and therefore the problem was of language. Because Marathi saints needed time to understand what Allavar Nayanar was saying and transmit it to North India, there's a time difference between the two. time difference between the two. So please understand there are two bhakti movements, one first in South India, then in North India. This is the first point you need to remember. Now, why or what is the core concept of Bhaktism? See, in Hinduism, we have temples, we have pandits, and again, access to God of an individual is mediated by this intermediary. But what is more problematic is that there is social discrimination. Further, there is social exclusion, caste, varna divisions, and further, women do not have access. Acha, one thing be very clear that Sufism is also conservative. In Islam, how women don't have access to mosques, women, that part is also true for Sufism. Sufism was not very progressive that way. It accepted the conservatism of Islam, though it gave an alternative path, but did not change the basic structure. That is not true for Bhakti. Bhakti challenged that. Social discrimination, exclusion, caste, varna division. Women do not have access. This is what the saints did not like. Bhakti saints did not like. So again, the Bhakti saints were frustrated by the conservatism of Islam, not of Islam, of temples and pandits. And ironically, mostly Allavar Nayanar tradition saints were lower castes women. Now, what is then Bhakti? I'll tell you what is Bhakti. I can guarantee to you that either on your phone screen, on your vlog screen, or where you are sitting right now, or in a room in your house, there would be a God picture, temple, or something for sure. Something for sure. 80-90% of you will surely have it. And you don't know it, but that is because of the Bhakti movement. That is because of the Bhakti movement. And why? Bhaktism personalized God. In a way, what I mean to say is, whenever I want to worship God, do I need to go to a temple? I want to remember Lord Rama or Lord Hanumana. Do I need to go to a temple? No. Is there any designated day on which you have to go to a temple? Like Friday, like Sunday in Islam and Christianity. There's no specific day in Hinduism where you have to go to the temple. The fact that we all have our own personal gods. Your mother could worship Shakti. Your father could be worshipping Lord Rama. You could be worshipping Lord Krishna. And the fact that every household in India today, big or small, has a temple inside it is because of the fact that Bhaktism personalized God. Basically, it said wherever I am, whenever I am, whatever form I am in, I can remember my God. So Bhaktism is based on personal devotion, which is technically true for Sufism also, about personalization of God, about individual access to God. Individual access to God. And what what does personalization of God, personal access? Tanmay, it means that you have your own picture and you can worship your God. Worshipping God was never something which everybody could do. It was only the prerogative of the Pandit. You read Hanuman Chalisa, you read Gayatri Mantra, you read any mantra you want. Everything is available on the on internet. Could a lay person do arti or mantras during 3rd century, 4th century? You would be literally killed by the Brahmins for doing something like that, because you are taking away the prerogative of the Brahmin to do it. And therefore institutional temples are not going to give up that power. Temples were power centers. That is where the concept comes. If I want, I can remember my God right now. I can worship him, and my devotion is not going to be when I'm going to go into the 4 walls of a temple. I can be a very devout Hindu or a very devout Muslim, not just by going into an institution. My faith is my personal matter, and therefore I can connect my God with my God from anywhere. That is called personalization of God. The fact that nobody is basically prosecuting you for having a temple in your house. What Hinduism is today is actually this: Vedic Brahmanism getting diluted to Puranic Hinduism. Add to Puranic Hinduism Bhaktism, and you have Hinduism today, which is quite unique, quite open, quite fluid. You are not obligated to go to the temple. You don't have to go to a designated date. You can worship any god you want. You can have your own personal access. You can have whatever you want to do. And Bhaktism also did 2 things. It challenged caste system and it challenged gendered notions that women don't have access. So therefore, what bhakti is, no caste and gender distinction, personal devotion, complete surrender to God, and you surrender to one form of God. It could be Nirgun or Sagun. Kabir was Nirgun, Meera was Sagun. But this monotheism means either Krishna Bhakti, either Ram Bhakti, basically one form you choose. Bhakti of Goddess Durga, Bhakti of God Krishna, of Lord Rama, one God you worship. Monotheism means not one God, but your bhakti is toward one form of God. Now, when we talk about bhakti, the idea is of oneness of God, and in a way, we also say that, don't we say that Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are the same? That Lord Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma, in a way are all the same, and in a way are part of the larger Adi Shakti. So in the sense that we see that all gods are the same, whatever form you want to pursue. They believed in the freedom of cycle of life and death, advocated salvation by deep devotion, moksha through deep devotion, and emphasized on self-surrender. Further, gurus had to, or the saints were going to tell everybody how to go forward. Universal brotherhood, everybody is the same. They criticize idol worship. Idol worship means temple worship. Temple worship. And stressed on singing of hymns for deep devotion, arguing that all living beings, humans, gods, children, denounce caste system, and they denounce ritualism, pilgrimage, fast. They not considered the language to be composed in Sanskrit, but to be composed in Bolchal languages. Now, what I want to do is, because I want obviously not start Allavar Nayanar, what I want to do here is very simply do a comparison, or a very simply a Venn diagram to show you where Bhakti Sufi intersect and how are they different. Can I do that? It's basically worship temple as God. No, that is not true. Okay. They believe in everything. They are within in Hinduism only. And the basic point is, yeah, I tell again, you are acting like Americans, literal Americans. You sometimes act like Britishers. And I am teaching Britishers, meaning Sagun, Nirgun, you are not able to understand. Simple point is that temple has temple idol. Do you have a temple in your house? Yes. That is a smaller miniature temple. That was not allowed previously. It is now allowed. That's end of story. Bas, that's it. When this self-devotion started for the first time, Allavar Nayana tradition, 7th century, South India. God is formless and shapeless. It is used for our, it is based upon our imagination. True, if you are Nirgun Bhakti. Sagun mein you will give a form to your God. Okay. Can I give you this? Okay. Make sense? Which was more successful? There's no competition. If this makes sense, we stop for today. We'll on Monday pick up what we have to do. Did not denounce conservative practices against women. We will thank you for your patience today. Uh, I I could have taught 1 hour more if I wanted to, but health did not take, or rather, did not support me. I will see you on Monday. Uh, we'll meet in the evening. We'll finish this. It will take me an hour for this, and we'll truly start art and culture. Art and culture first module. We'll do Mauryan pillars. We'll do a stupa and all. So uh, I'll see you maybe in the workshop at 6 o'clock. If not, this is what I leave you with. So thank you. Take care. And thank you for your wishes. You have been very supportive that ways. Thank you for that. And I will see you. I should be fine by Monday. I hope so. And I'll see you on Monday same time. Thank you for being there for the whole day and sparing this time. If you're watching this later on video, I'll see you on Monday again. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.